welcome to The Crossroads. I'm your host, Angela Rajnigandha. So today I want to talk about Lilith. She came up in my last episode, and I apologize, it was a while ago. I haven't posted an episode in a little while, just had a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, so today I want to talk about Lilith. And the topic of Lilith can be controversial in Christian communities, but I think there's so much more to her story than that. The story of Lilith often pops up in my life every so often, and she often comes with guidance or assistance in some way. And she's been coming in lately. So I tapped in this energy of Lilith to see what she has to say at this time. But before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about the backstory of Lilith. Lilith's roots trace back to Mesopotamian mythology, where she appears as a demon of the night. She's associated with storms and wind and chaos, and is said to haunt desolate places and prey on the weak and the vulnerable, and embodies the fear and the anxieties of a patriarchal society. And later, her story evolved within the Jewish folklore, where she emerges as Adam's first wife. The ancient texts describe Adam and Lilith being created simultaneously from clay, from the earth. Lilith was made to stand beside Adam as his equal in every way. It was divinely ordained for them to be absolute equals. And Lilith, by insisting on her equal status, was obeying the very word of God. However, it was Adam that was unwilling to accept this equality and went against the word of God. He tried to dominate Lilith, and she quickly rebelled against Adam's dominance and refused to lie beneath him during intercourse, asserting that she should be treated as his equal. Adam, unwilling to accept this, eventually tries to force her into submission. Lilith then fled Eden and chose exile and freedom over this submission. So then Adam complains to God, and God sends 3 angels to bring her back. Lilith refuses and says that she will not return to Adam. So then God casts her out, and she becomes the demoness that we know as Lilith. And then that's when Eve is created to replace her. But this time Eve was formed from Adam's rib, in a clear attempt to craft a companion who would be obedient and subservient to Adam, unlike Lilith. And some later interpretations suggest that Lilith's story doesn't end with her exile, but instead she returns to Eden as the serpent in the garden, tempting Eve to eat the forbidden fruit. Lilith is said to have sought to awaken Eve's awareness, offering her the knowledge and the empowerment that the patriarchal order sought to withhold. This interpretation reframes Lilith's role as a serpent not of one of evil, but as an act of rebellion against the oppressive structures and as a way to liberate Eve from the imposed ignorance. In modern spirituality, particularly with feminist and esoteric circles, Lilith has been reclaimed as this goddess of rebellion and sexuality and liberation. She's not only a feminist figure in the modern sense, but as a defender of anyone who's suppressed by oppressive systems or the powers that be. She guides those that seek her forward, showing them how to navigate their challenges and reclaim their power, and even outwit those who attempt to control or to harm them. She can also bring awareness to toxic dynamics, including narcissistic abuse, and teach her followers how to dismantle those structures. In my experiences working with Lilith, she has come to me during times when I was being bullied or manipulated, particularly by narcissistic and abusive men. She offered me protection and comfort and guidance. And she showed me my own power and helped to pull me back up when I felt very, very defeated. She stands for justice and fiercely defends the downtrodden, the betrayed, the castaways, those punished or silenced for speaking their truth, and those who have been taken advantage of. And so recently, I felt Lilith coming in again. And so I tapped in this energy to see what she had to say. What came through was first a very personal message just for me regarding personal matters that I've been dealing with, which I won't go into much detail here. But she pointed out a pattern of mine that I was unaware of and showed me how I can resolve that. And she talked to me a little bit about standing in my power and about the power of my thoughts and my prayers, which was really cool to hear. And then she went on into a message that she has for all of you, all of the viewers. So she said, "My story is one of complexity, deciphering what is true and what is not. Often tangible literary, other times false stories woven throughout truth. I will not tell you which versions of my stories are true and which are not, because it does not matter. My voice lives on in those who call on me for guidance through the darkest hour, for I am the truth that they seek." That's what she had to say, and that's all she wanted to say. I tried to pull more. That's what she wanted to say. And for me, she always comes in with a very straightforward, kind of matter-of-factly way. She's not extremely big and bold and powerful the way that Kali might come in. And she's not really soft and mothering either. It's just a very, very calm, very straightforward. And like in this message, she's like, it doesn't matter what story you choose to believe. Believe whatever you want. My truth lies within you and those who call on me. It's very I don't give a fuck what they say. And I'm not going to tell you what to believe. Decide what's true for yourself, kind of a thing. And I don't know, I like that. I respect that. And it actually reminds me a lot of a time when I channeled Persephone long ago. And I was asking her about the different versions of her story. For those who don't know, she was taken by Hades, who fell in love with her into the underworld, where she was later made queen of the underworld. And some say that she was assaulted and kidnapped by Hades. Others say that she loved him too. And others say that she hated him at first, but grew to love him later on. And so when I asked her which version was true, she told me all of them. They're different timelines, they're different parallel dimensions, multiple versions, all true, all at the same time. And so maybe Lilith's story is similar in that way, as we all are. But anyway, if you feel drawn to Lilith's energy, here are some ways that you can honor her and connect with her. So number one is to embrace your shadow. Explore the hidden aspects of yourself that society has conditioned you to suppress. You can journal, you can do shadow work exercises, or simply sitting with your emotions can help honor that kind of raw and unrestrained energy within yourself. Number two is power rituals. Design rituals that celebrate and reclaim your power, maybe lighting a candle and making a declaration of your truth or your boundaries or your needs. Number three is creative expression. Using art or poetry or even dance to channel Lilith's rebellious spirit. Let your creativity flow in a very raw and unfiltered way. Number four, meditation. Envision Lilith in her various forms as the protector, as the rebel, as the nurturing feminine guide. Whatever versions of her you really resonate with, ask her to help you find courage or authenticity or freedom in your life, whatever it is that you're seeking at this time. And then number five, sacred space. Dedicate an altar or a sacred space to Lilith with symbols that represent her, as can be black candles or serpent images or fruit, apples, pomegranates, or any objects that make you feel powerful or that just remind you of Lilith. In honoring Lilith, we can reclaim that untamed spirit within all of us. The parts that refuse to be silenced, and the parts that know our worth, and the parts that never relinquish our power. Her story challenges us to break free from societal constraints and to live authentically, no matter what the cost. And with that, I thank you for joining me here today at the Crossroads. Please share in the comments about your thoughts and your experiences with Lilith. And as always, if you'd like to book an appointment with me for a reading or a healing session, you can book that on my website, angelarajnigandha.com. And until next time, I'll meet you here at the Crossroads. Bye. Thank you for joining me at the Crossroads. Visit me at arcanapothecary.com and connect on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and please join my Patreon for more exclusive content that I don't share anywhere else. Please note that this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and is not professional advice. Remember, there is a time for love and light, and there is a time for raising hell. Until next time, I'll meet you at the Crossroads.